Hello, everyone. Once again, good morning, good afternoon, as per your respective time zone. On behalf of entire Evosys Managed Service System, we'd like to welcome you all today to our Talent Management 22A Advisory webinar session. This important session is to keep you fully synchronized with the new features and functionalities as a part of this quarterly release which Oracle provides. My name is Hardik Patel. I'm an operations manager here at Evosys Managed Service System. Today, I'm your host for this session, and I'm glad to introduce my colleague Siddharth Das, who's part of our vast HCM team at Evosys. Today, he'll take us through all the talent management updates for 22A quarterly release. Today's session is planned for around 45 to 60 minutes, and we'll also make sure that we also leave some time to answer all your questions you may have. Before we move to the agenda, let's have a quick look at the important disclaimer. As we all noticed that Oracle has notified some customers about 22A upgrade happening along with the 22B in the month of May. So customers are requested to check respective notifications accordingly. However, this webinar is mainly to equip you with the latest updates on 22A. We would like to convey you our approach towards the Oracle updates in a very simpler method. We'll be taking you through vital analysis for the 22 updates done by our experts, which will help you incorporating new features and updates easily into your system. Also, we'll think you on any bugs or known issues if there are any, and then we'll be moving to closing note. We'd like to have an interactive session, so please do ask your questions through chat or a question panel, and our experts will try and answer you during the session and also at the end. This is to give you a glimpse on how we have crafted the structure of this session. List of new features coming into 22A, detailed on features, so you get brief understanding on what new features are all about. Next one is what are the business benefits, an important takeaway for you as a decision maker. There are 4 components wherein we have done in-depth analysis of features which we are going to present to you today. The first one is impact level analysis, which demonstrates the impact on the end user. If it's a low impact, then regression testing can be avoided. If it's a high impact, then we need to opt for regression testing. Second one is, which we all are aware that there are some features which default auto-enabled by Oracle, and there are some which we need to opt for. And third one highlights the nature of the feature. There would be certain configuration which may be required, or some can be used without any changes. And the last one is a quick win. This term we use to simply convey that what is ready to use by investing minimum amount of time and what requires significant amount of time and effort to make use of this feature. Before I hand it over to my colleague Siddharth to take you to the entire update, we'd like to know on a quick poll that which industry does your organization belongs to. It will help us crafting more contentful webinar. Thank you so much for your inputs, and now I will be immediately handing over to Siddharth. Thank you.
Thank you, Hardik. A very warm greetings for the day to this August Hall of Business Intellects, stakeholders, and fusion enthusiasts. The year ahead has just got interesting with Oracle Fusion adding a few more novelties to its gap. As businesses dive into the first quarter, Oracle has released yet another set of new and improvised queue of features intending to address pain areas in human resource management and development. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to guide you through what's in store for us in this 22A release. Our session today isn't limited only to the introduction of these features, but also intends to instill an understanding of them so that you can choose to align them in your organizational practices. This is in line with our goal of providing quality consulting to our clientele. Before we begin, over here we present our analysis of this set of features at a glance. We have categorized all the features in 2 consumable columns. Let's have a quick look on the key takeaways. On your screen currently, you can see the total number of features that are present for the talent management module, that is 25 in numbers. These 25 features have been segregated into two different columns, namely the first one being the default feature. This particular column represents all the features that are present in these release as default and does not require any extra effort from the end user to incorporate it into your present business environment. Out of this 20 default features, we have recognized 16 as quick wins. Quick wins, as the name suggests, are a trademark of Evosys. These are ready-to-use features which asks for the least of your time and efforts. This translates into an instant delivery of those on your live environment and ease of use. Of those 20 default features, 4 are categorized as REST features. Up next are the 5 opt-in features. These features are presented to you solely optional and at the discretion of the business user to incorporate into your present live environment. Of these 5 features at hand, 3 are quick wins, while the 2 are REST. So, ladies and gentlemen, this would be our flow of presentation for today. We'll first go on with our first deck of features, which are identified as quick wins, once again, which would require the least of your effort and time, and they are default in the present feature deck and require no configuration at all. Next in line, we would be having all those quick win features which are there by default but still need a degree of configuration before they are put to good use. Third up would be the list of features which are segregated as REST, and they are variable in terms of their usage, in terms of the configuration required, and in terms of why either they are default or not. The last in the queue would be all the quick win features which are at the discretion of the business user, that is opt-ins. So here we begin with the very first deck of features. Moving forward, we would be discussing all the features which are categorized as quick wins, are default, and require no configurational steps to be incorporated into your present environment. Starting with Talent Review Template Redesign. Oracle Talent Review is an analytical product enabling our organizations to review and evaluate data from the profile, performance, goals, career development, and compensation management solutions. In this feature, Oracle has now allowed us to create a talent review meeting template where we no longer need to configure all the ratings that are delivered. We can only configure the ratings that we plan to use to rate the review population. But please do note that the customizations done for the rating options section of the talent review template page prior to 20A, 22A won't be available after we migrate to this release. We need to recreate these customizations again. Coming up to the impact analysis side, Evosys feels that the impact level for this particular feature would be on the lower end, which means it would not be requiring a lot of regression testing. There is no need to enable this feature as it would be delivered to you with migration to 22A. There are also no configurations required to get this feature to good use, and it definitely qualifies to be a quick win because of the business benefit that it drives. It drastically improves the rating delivery of the review population at hand. Next in line, we have add succession plan candidates from a talent pool. Oracle Succession Management helps to create succession plans to replace key personnel. This particular feature is in the same niche. Succession plan identify workers who are ready now or can develop the necessary skills or job set for positions that aren't currently vacant, ensuring a smooth transition and helps us to manage candidate development. This also helps us to groom talent pool members to fit key roles in our organization and include them as candidates in succession plans created for those roles. Moving forward, HR specialists and managers can now add talent pool members directly to a succession plan. Moving forward to the impact analysis for this feature, Evosys feels that the impact for this feature would again be on the lower end, given that it only benefits a specialized niche. On the need to enable part, there is again no need to enable this feature as it comes delivered once we are migrated to 22A. There are also no need to configure this feature, and it definitely qualifies as a quick win because it improves the management of overall succession plan of an organization. Next up, we have the add attachments for talent profile items, the very first feature in line from profile management. Talent profile management provides a common foundation for the talent suite of products and other Oracle Cloud applications to retrieve, insert, and update talent profile informations. With the advent of this feature, we can now attach supporting items in content section of talent profile, which would be more descriptive in terms of the profiles of workers that are already present. The attachment that we can attach to the individual items are honors, degrees, licenses, and henceforth. On the impact side, Evosys again says that this would be on the lower end because of no need of regression testing here. There is also no need to enable this feature and no configurations required either. On the quick win side, it definitely tends to be a quick win, given that users can now set their default values and increase the descriptions of talent profiles. Moving forth, we have the different icons for current and completed performance document task feature. In this particular feature, Oracle has provided special care for all our HR administratives, wherein all tasks in the performance document processes have been highlighted distinctive icons to verify the current standing. Now, if we have any current tasks, they will now show with a double orange icon, and all the completed tasks will display with a green tick icon. On the impact analysis side, the impact level for this feature is low. Also, there is no need to enable this feature and neither any configurations required. But because of the business benefit that it drives and enhances the user experience of viewing different icons and status updates, it definitely qualifies to be a quick win. Next up, we have the determine maximum goals in a goal plan feature, which comes from the goal management suite. Goal management enables us to transform business objectives into goals across various organizational levels, providing a clear line of sight from managers to employees. Business leaders can communicate high-level initiatives, which managers can translate into goals for their employees. With the advent of this feature, now goal administrators can restrict the number of non-private goals for the workers so that they can have a more focused approach on their core goals. On the impact analysis side, the impact level for this feature is again deemed to be low, with no need to enable this feature and no configurational step required either, and it definitely qualifies to be a quick win again. Please do note that we can specify any value between 0 to 999. If we don't specify any value, then there is no restriction on the number of non-private goals that a worker can have in a goal plan. This can especially help to privatize all the non-private goal plans that a worker may have in an organization. To indicate the importance of a performance goal when assigning it to your team members and help them prioritize their goals, Oracle has introduced the manager sets goal weight on assignment. This is yet another feature to enhance the overall usability of Oracle goal management. Now, managers can set or decide weights to individual goal items for an employee. They can even divide the total weightage spread over multiple goals so that employees can prioritize and focus their core goals in a more appropriate manner. On the impact analysis side, the impact level for this feature is deemed to be on the lower end. There's no need to enable this feature, no configurations required either. And with the business benefit it drives, it definitely qualifies to be a quick win. Next up, we have a feature from the performance management suite. Performance management supports features and functions for measuring and reporting worker performance. In this particular feature, Oracle has allowed us to save a lot of hassle of transferring more than one performance documents from one manager to a newer one. With the introduction of the new transfer button, which would be displayed only when you have a particular set of privilege and is enabled for performance documents that have a current status. On the impact analysis side, the impact level is deemed on the lower end of the scale. There's no need to enable this feature again and no configurations required either as for the rest of the features in this deck, and it definitely qualifies for a quick win. On the business benefit end, it speeds up the process of transferring performance documents to a new manager. Next up, we have the simplified filters to process tasks in HR admin performance document feature. Over here, Oracle has just made it much easier for all our HR personnel doing the daunting task of processes in performance document page. They have introduced a new set of collapsible filters which are more easier to sort. For an instance, the transfer document performance documents without selecting a performance document, we can move performance documents forward or back without selecting a current task, or send emails for performance document with overdue tasks without selecting a current or overdue tasks. On the impact analysis side, the impact level is again deemed to be low, owing to no regression testings required. There are no need to enable this feature and no configurations in place to put this up in use. And once again, it definitely qualifies as a quick win because of the least of efforts required and the momentum it delivers. On the business benefit side, it definitely speeds up the process of how we manage performance documents. Yeah. So now we come to our next deck of features. Over here, we would be going through all those features which are default in the 22A release, but are quick wins which require the least of your efforts and do require a degree of configuration before they can be put to use for the end business personals. So the first in line for these set of features are the add talent pool members from an analysis. I was always curious about one thing in succession planning while helping clients to pave a way for their future leaders. I used to think, wouldn't it be a lot logical to have a metric wherein we can measure the compatibility of members added to a talent pool? After all, it would make a lot more sense than our conventional way of choosing members via methods abstract in nature. Oracle in this release perfectly nails this curiosity by allowing us to add members to a talent pool from an analysis. We are not talking about a couple of members to be added at a talent pool from an analysis, but at a time we can add up to 10,000 members from an analysis in the talent pool. We just need to make sure that the analysis contains the person ID so that a distinction can be made. On the impact analysis side, it qualifies to be a low impact feature because of no need of regression testing right here. There is a need to enable this feature and a degree of configuration required before end user can have this feature viable up, and it again qualifies to be a quick win. On the business benefits side, including workers, it helps to including workers from an analysis that helps us to identify people who can be a part of the talent pool. Next in line, we have another feature from the talent management suite, that is the autocomplete rules for talent review meeting business object in talent management. With the advent of 22A, we can now create autocomplete rules to validate values entered on the talent review template and meeting configurations. So there are different rules we create for talent review meeting business object and which impact the following responsive flows. The first one being the add talent review meeting, edit talent review meeting, and the third one is the duplicate talent review meeting. On the impact analysis side, because of the lack of regression testing, it is on the lower end of the scale. There is a need to enable this feature while a certain degree of configuration is required to put this feature to good use, and it again qualifies to be a quick win because on the business benefit side, this enhances the validation and abstraction controls for talent review meeting. Next up the deck is track progress of learning item associated with a development goal. In this feature, whenever we expand the learning section of development goal, now we can see the status for each learning item. So the status of these can be any value depending upon the progress of that particular learning item. The list of progress steps are mentioned just right on your screen. To name a few, those are pending approval, pending fulfillment, not started, in progress, completed, and the likes. The impact level side, there needs to be a certain degree of regression testing, both in terms of catalog and non-catalog items to prove the worth of this feature. Also, there is a need to enable this feature and a configurational step required to put this feature up and running. But it qualifies to be a quick win because on the business benefit side, we can now track progress of the learning items associated with our development goals in career development. That's pretty interesting. Now we come up to the restrict development goal library goals based on workforce structure definition. However unambiguous it may sound, this particular feature now enables administrators to restrict the library goals so the workers and the managers can use to create a development goal to add to their development plan. Now the following attributes for the library goal that are present after enabling the restrict library goal features are the legal employer, business unit, department, and the job family. On the impact level side, the impact level is deemed to be medium, and there is a need to enable this feature while a configuration needs to be done before it is up and running. On the quick win side, it qualifies to be a quick win because of its business benefit, wherein it allows us to only show relevant library goals to users and enhances the career planning of employees in our organization. Coming up next is the restricting performance goal library goals based on workforce structure definition. Similar to the prior one, over here, administrators can now restrict the library goals that workers and their managers can see when they try to add a library goal to a goal plan. In the previous one, it would restrict workers and managers when they would try to add a library goal to the development plan. So that's the difference, ladies and gentlemen, between the previous one and this particular feature. Moving forward, now we need to define the workforce structure parameters, the same as the previous one, wherein the parameters are business unit, department, legal entity, and the job family for a library goal. On the impact analysis side, the impact level is again deemed to be on the lower end with a need to enable this feature and configuration required. But once again, it qualifies to be a quick win, as in it shows only relevant library goals to users and would enhance the overall performance goal management of an organization if put in good use. Now, this is one of the most interesting features. Oracle has been constantly working on its story of HCM journeys. After being introduced in the previous release, in this particular feature, they are now allowed to select quick actions from learning self-service to automatically assign the learning tasks in building the HCM journey workflows. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the adding learning quick actions in HCM journeys. So there are following set of learner and manager actions that can now be defined as HCM journey tasks and can be used to build the entire HCM journey workflow. So under the learner actions, a couple to mention are access current learning, publish video, record external learning, and the likes. And under the manager actions, there are three, namely assign learning to my team, record external learning for my team, and search learning catalog. On the impact level is low, and there is a need to enable this feature while configuration is required to get this feature up and running. but it again qualifies to be a quick win based on the business benefit that it derives, wherein it would enhance and would ease the entire building process of HCM journey workflows. Coming up next is the display branding image on enrollment details page. Now, this is the very first feature in our queue from the Oracle Learning Cloud. Now, we can enable branding images to be configured on top of courses and specializations, so they can appear at the top of the self-service enrollment detail page. This would actually enhance the organization's branding and would allow them to communicate in a more personalized manner to their user, offering them a richer user experience. The branding images to be displayed can be enabled from the HCM Experience Design Studio. On the impact level side, the impact level is deemed on a lower end with a need to enable this feature and configurations required, of course, to set up your required or the branding image that you require. And again, it qualifies to be a quick win because it provides a more personalized enrollment details and an environment for a user. Next up is the observation checklist completion details. Now, Oracle is allowed with the advent of 22A to report on observation checklist attempt details, including questions and responses. You've heard me right. Oracle has now allowed us to even report all the attempts made on the observation checklist, including the questions and responses taken. So we can use the given set of attributes available to report on the activity details of the observer. On the impact analysis side, the impact level is deemed on the lower scale, and there is a need to enable this feature and configuration required to start reporting on the observer's activities. Given the business benefit wherein it's enhancing reporting, which is one of the prime concerns of an organization, it definitely qualifies to be a quick win. So that was it with the default list of features. Prior to this, all the features that we discussed were default in nature, which means that there are no exceptional steps which were required to put them in the live environment. Next up, we have those set of features which are solely at the discretion of the business to opt them or not, which we refer to as opt-in features. The speciality over here is the features that are mentioned here in this particular deck as opt-ins are the ones which even are quick wins. So if you choose to use any of these features, it would require the least of your time and efforts. The first in line is the autosave questionnaires in performance documents. So with the advent of 22A, all our question and responses will now be saved in the performance document when we use autosave. So basically this is done to keep the information consistent with the ratings and comments previously entered, so that we won't lose out any information even if the application crashes or because of any other techno-functional delay. On the impact analysis side, the impact level is low because of no need of regression testing here. There is also no need to enable this feature, neither any configurations are required, but it again qualifies to be a quick win because it helps keep the information consistent. This particular feature is more or like a bug update, but it actually addresses a major concern, the video player update. Prior to this, users would complain that certain video content offerings did not resume correctly on Android devices, or certain videos did not always play to the end. So with this feature in line, those functional limitations are completely taken care of. On the impact analysis side, the impact level is low because of the absence of regression testing. There is a need to enable this feature, so you can choose to enable this if you have previously faced the similar functional issues in your learning environment. There's no need to configure this feature, and it again qualifies to be a quick win because of an enhanced visual experience during content delivery of the user. This particular is a pretty naive feature which goes by the sort options for discussion topics in check-ins. Oracle has now allowed us to easily find a discussion topic in check-in using the new sort options that are present. So we can use the same default sort order as goal plans for performance goals to help find topics we want to discuss quicker. This quickness comes with enabling it in the sort options in Transaction Design Studio. On the impact level side, it does not require any regression testing, and hence it is on the lower end of the scale. But there is a need to enable this feature and a configurations undertaken to put this in use, and it does not qualify to be a quick win. Next in line, we have the assessments, questions, and responses. With the advent of this feature, the learning record subject area has just been enhanced to include assessment questions and responses. So we can now use the new set of attributes to report upon basically two major variables. The first being all questions and responses of a learner for a specific course, and the second avenue being the responses that are saved but not submitted while the attempt is still in progress. So with the advent of this feature, we can now enhance our reporting on these two aspects. On the impact analysis side, the impact level is deemed to be lower with no need to enable this feature and no configurations required. It still does not make a much bigger difference in operation, so it does not qualify to be a quick win, but it does enhance the reporting on learning records subject area. Next up is the reporting on development goal nodes. With the advent of 22A, a new subfolder named Goal Nodes has been added to the Development Goals folder under the Development Goal Overview Real-Time Subject area. So the following attributes that you can see on your screen, to name a few, are the node identifier, author person ID, notes, updated by, notes visibility code, and the likes. So these attributes can be used to enhance reporting on development goals with addition of notes added by various stakeholders to a development goal. On the impact analysis side, the impact level is deemed on the lower end with no need to enable this feature and no configurations required either. It again does not qualify to be a quick win, but it does enhance reporting on development goals up to a larger extent, since we can now accommodate notes added by various stakeholders to a development goal. With this, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the final leg of our today's session. Coming up next are the queue of the rest-in features, which are at the sole discretion of businesses to opt in for them or not. The first one up is the convert performance goal approval data into HDL file. Now, anyone who has been using Fusion would have gone through this instance wherein while a transaction is in process or while a transaction has undergone approval, it may get stuck. Now imagine the same situation which may happen sometimes for performance goal transactions. So in case now, after 22A migration, if a performance goal transaction gets stuck in approval, as administrators, we can recover data of such goal transactions. Now that's a big relief Oracle has provided, I must say. On your screen, you can see the steps to extract the goal transactions data, convert it into a .dat file, which is the usable and the viable file to be used for HDL uploads, and then upload the same data via HDL to get the final finish on the front end. So even if the approval may have got stuck, you still have a workaround to go through this transaction. On the impact analysis side, the impact level is low because of no need of regression testing. There is also no need to enable this feature, neither any configurations required to put this in place. And it does not qualify to be a quick win because when pitted against the other features which we discussed today and the benefits that they drive, this particular feature only provides a workaround option for a handful of performance goal specialists. On the business benefit end, It does help us to recover goal data and ensures a smoother performance in management process. Next up the queue is the administrator learning item details page update. So the course offering and specialization definition pages have just been updated, if not overhauled, with collapsible sections and a consistent layout. So this is supposed to resemble the style of the self-service catalog details page, providing users more of a personalized and a comfortable feel. On the impact analysis side, the impact level for this feature is on the lower end, and there is no need to enable this feature. Neither it requires any configuration to be put to use, and it does not drive to be a quick win. On the business benefit end, if business still chooses to opt for this feature, it would definitely enhance accessibility of the course offering and specialization definition pages. Coming up next is the add remaining attributes for autocomplete talent profile content section. Now, with the advent of this feature, the person profile certification business object, which contains all the additional details for the certification added in the personal profile. It is based under the table HRT underscore certification underscore items underscore V. So this particular feature, using this feature, users can set the default values and validation criteria based on the list of attributes that are provided under the particular table mentioned right on your screen. On the impact analysis side, the impact level for this feature is on the lower end of the scale, with no need to enable this feature, no configurations required either, and it does not come up as a quick win. Summing up to a final feature in today's queue is the e-learning content attempts completion details. Interestingly, Oracle has placed a lot of effort in how we report our day-to-day activities. With this feature, report on learner attempt details for self-paced offering activities can be made to understand how many tries learners have taken to complete an activity. So this learner attempt information folder, it adds attributes to report the number of tries a learner took to complete an activity and the amount of time spent on the activity and the final score. So on the impact analysis side, the impact is again on the lower end with no regression testing required and no need to enable this feature. It has been delivered pretty simple with no configurations required, and it does not come up as a quick win, but it does enhance the reportability for learning content attempts. So that was it, ladies and gentlemen. 25 features from 22A. Thank you.
Thank you, Siddharth, for the wonderful insights. Before we move to the Q&A, we would quickly like to note down your area of interest in order to organize future webinars with more value-based content. So here is the poll to let us know your area of interest on the scale, please. Thank you. Let me check if we have any questions. No, we do not have any questions as of now. If you do have any questions at a later stage, we are more than happy to connect you the dedicated project managers. If you're not an Evosys client, you can write to us on business@evosysglobal.com. We will send you the presentation along with the recording and the test script where relevant to you over your email. You can also note down the upcoming webinar and you can pass the message to your colleague if they want to register and be part of it. Benefits and compensation, supply chain, HR, help desk and ORC, finance, workforce management, supply chain management, inventory and order management, and PPM as well. And before you all leave us, just a very last question we have, and we would like you to tell us how we did today. On the scale of 1 to 5, please rate us on our experience on today's session so that we can improve based on your feedback. Thank you, everyone. We'll be closing the poll Thank you. And once again, thanks everyone for your time. Thank you.